Hi, this is Chuck Gardner, and this is another one of my golf tutorials. I wanted to start out with showing you the camera gear that I'm using to film this. I got a new C50 camera and new lens, a 24-105 2.8Z lens that I'm filming this with. This is my old, relatively old Canon R6 Mark II. This is the flash rig that I have been using since 2004. Strobo frame bracket, DIY diffuser for field flash outside here, and I've switched to the Godox 480 flashes because my Canons don't work anymore. This is my 2470 EF lens from 2004. This bracket, this is what I recommend for any serious shooter. It rotates the camera and keeps the flash in the same place. I've covered this in one of my flash tutorials, but I like to cover the bases here. I added a little safety pin here to keep it from rotating when I don't want it to. But this is how I've taken flash since 1972 after I learned the technique from Monty Zucker. So that is the photography part of this exercise here. Okay, now for the golf portion. Today I want to cover the finish portion of the swing and focus on keeping the radius of the hands constant through the swing arc. This is something that I struggle with when I'm playing if I lose my concentration. It is important to keep everything in sync when you swing. Hogan, the way he gripped the club, as demonstrated on the Ed Sullivan Show. There's a YouTube of that on YouTube of the Ed Sullivan Show. He suggested always having your arms into your body, pressed in against your rib cage when gripping the club. He gripped it out like this. I prefer gripping it in the air because it's effortless this way. I keep the base of the thumb on top, put the base of my trail hand on top, wrap my fingers down around rather than putting my fingertips on first and wrapping my palms around. This is important because everybody has different proportions. I have long palms, short fingers. Some people have normal palms, normal fingers. Some people have extra long fingers. But the critical thing is to have the holes of the hinges on the base of the thumbs in the correct spot on the grip. And you get that by putting the base of your thumb of your lead hand on first, then your trail hand, wrap your hands around the bottom. Now, when it comes to swinging, what you want to do is keep the hands in front of the body as the shoulders rotate. There are 45 degrees is in the golf swing in many different places. If you keep your feet square or slightly flared and keep both feet down, the limit of rotation of your hips is 45 degrees open and closed. So if you keep the hands in front of you, that's going to be the swing arc of the club, except it also hinges in the wrist, so you get it to 45 degrees and then hinge it to parallel. Look where you are. So you swing it, keeping the hands in front of your body, swing it 45 degrees closed, and hinge it, you're parallel with the swing line. The other direction here, you're parallel with the swing line. So the 45 degree angle rotation of your hips, this is a control factor in your swing. This is how you can get your club shaft parallel in your backswing and your finish. And you notice that, as Hogan suggested, I'm keeping my elbows down and against the body. What that does for you, which ironically modern Pro Tour players have gotten away from doing, they have gotten away from this Hogan-esque concept, which folds the trail which folds the lead arm so nicely in the finish to get you to that parallel position with the hands. You notice the hands are staying the same radius here, and all that is moving is the club head and the wrist and the hips. So you go from parallel here to parallel there, parallel here to parallel here, and it's created by a combination of this overlapping grip and how the elbows bend. If you are letting your arms extend like a tour pro, you have to side bend backwards like Gumby in order to stay in balance. Arguably it's more powerful, but it's going to be much more difficult to coordinate. And if you're older, middle-aged golfer, have a few pounds on, or you're a senior golfer like I am, then, coordination becomes a problem. Stiffness becomes a problem. You can't side bend like Gumby anymore. So, what I suggest is a drill. When you go out and you're starting out, it's a variation on the broom drill, where you stick a broom in your gut, just use your club, and just do nothing but swing your hips. 45 degrees till you feel resistance, 45 degrees till you feel resistance. Don't do anything but groove the feel of moving the club head out here like the barrel of a gun on a tank, a turret. You can't move and aim the gun on a tank unless you rotate the turret. Same thing concept with your body. You do not want to be swinging your hands akimbo independently of your body rotation, because you can't control it. You can't coordinate it. You can tell when your hands are close to your body, and if you start out with your elbows down, gripping the club either extended or up in the air, this gives you a baseline reference for keeping everything together. This is a well-coordinated swing. Now, when it comes to actually hitting the ball, you want to keep your hands low. I don't know what position this is post-impact here, but if this comes in and starts to bend this way, you get your parallel position of your shaft. But notice how low my hands are. My hands aren't out here or down here. They're not extended. I'm consciously trying to keep my elbow close to my body. And again, the reason that is just a strategy to achieve the goal of keeping the hands a constant radius around the body. So I equate it to a touch and go landing of an airplane, where you come down to the runway and just after impact with the pavement with the runway, you don't try to zoom back up in the sky. You just slowly accelerate, and here what is happening is that the club head is doing the work of lofting the club, or lofting the ball. I'm not making any attempt to lift the club in the air. I'm just trying to keep the hands low and keep the hips rotating. Now that one, I was out of sequence. My hands got out of sequence because I didn't rotate my hips. So again, if you started a dress by doing this to get the sink and rotate, I think you will find that you will have more consistent ball striking. So that's your tip for today. I hope you find it helpful. If you do, like, subscribe, leave comments. I appreciate them. Thanks for watching.